I just got back my first ever grading card submission. I sent 9 cards from 23 Bowman to SGC, and we're gonna take a look at what I got and what I learned. Hey, welcome back. It's Nordy. Happy to have you along for the ride today. We are looking at my recent grading card submission. So like a lot of people, I've been ripping 23 Bowman since it came out. I've been super excited. Definitely a Bowman baseball guy. And I wanted to take advantage of SGC's $9 no minimum grading. So it felt like a great opportunity to get a feel for the process and learn a little bit myself. So we're gonna get into those details in just a second, but if you're not very familiar with the grading process, I'll just run through it real quick. So all the major grading companies are looking at 4 main things. They're gonna take a look at your cornering, your edges, your centering, and the surface of your card. A few of those seem very straightforward, at least they did to me. The corners need to be sharp, and they need to be clean. Edges, same thing. The centering is straightforward, but maybe a little bit harder to interpret on some cards, whether if something is actually uncentered or not. And then the surface, how is the condition of the surface? And that was the one that I was the most unsure about, what would get docked points and what wouldn't. Yeah, I had a stack of about 50 cards that I thought could add some value if I got them graded as a 10, but also would be fairly safe to still add some amount of value if they came back a little bit lower, you know, a 9.5 or a 9 even. So I wanted to hopefully at least make some money, add some value to my cards on this whole process. But it was, again, very much a learning experience for me. So I was okay sending in some stuff that I thought would, you know, get a low score. And when I was looking at the surfaces, I really thought some of these cards would come back lower grades, and you know, just because this is the first time doing this, I would not have been surprised to get some 7s and 8s possibly, just because I didn't know what I was doing necessarily. That being said, I was very picky with the cards that I ultimately did send in. I made sure that the centering looked good on them, and the corners and edges all had to be good. Those things, again, seemed pretty straightforward to me. All right, so right above me, you have the full list of cards that I sent in. And I want to start right off the top with the Druw Jones first Chrome. And this one came back a 9.5. I felt like I had to send this in no matter what. I had one other Druw Jones that had some more surface scuffing. This one was not perfect. Obviously, it came back a 9.5. But one of the things I was most curious about with this one was just seeing like how much does it matter that the edges didn't seem totally clean. They're very straight, but if you see it in the right light, you can see it's not completely clean in the way that it was cut. So I didn't know if that was going to make much difference. Unfortunately, SGC, you don't get you know, the subgrades like you do with BGS. But so I'm kind of just left to assume that it was probably surface issues that got this at 9.5. But ultimately, earned some extra value on that card. So then the next step was Spencer Jones first Chrome, and this one came back at 10. So this one was one that I was very confident was going to be very good. I could not find any flaws with them. You know, all these cards I took under the light just like this. You know, it looks a little different here in the slab. You know, for an example, this is one of my Jackson Holidays. So, you know, this is what I was doing, just kind of very carefully going through, taking a look at any possible surface issues. This particular card is pretty clean. So that's what I was doing, and a lot of these cards had some kind of scuff on them, so I was really curious to see what was going to happen. Now the next two are the 2 Jordan Walkers that I sent in, and these ones are a little bit interesting in that there's not a great way to center them. It was harder to center. So this one, you can see it, another 9.5 on the top 100. And I mean, these cards, you know, they're pretty cheap cards to begin with, so I'm not adding a ton of value, but it was interesting to try them out. Now for this one, and the next one is the Sights on September insert. neither of them have like really well-defined borders. So, I mean, the base chromes, for example, like you've got this edging frame piece, and that's what I used as a very quick eyeball of whether it's something was probably good enough or not. And I did even bust out a tape measure to take a closer look, but it was a little bit harder with these. So with these inserts, I was mostly just looking at the spacing on the logo, and it's not supposed to be exactly the same. I actually went and found some other top 100s that did gem and compared the spacing of the logo against mine. So that's how I determined, yeah, this one was worth sending in. Again, some very minor surface scuffs. So that one's a 9.5. My sights on September came back a perfect 10. And one thing that's kind of frustrating here, you can see it, this little, I don't know what that is, that's actually on the card now. I sent it in perfectly clean, and SGC decided to give me a little bonus with this one. So I have a gem intent with some noticeable junk on there. Not a big deal since it's such a low-end card anyways. Now, these are the first of the two nicer cards that I had, and unfortunately, you know, these are not huge names, but I thought it was worthwhile again to just send it in and see what happens, and got a 9.5 on this one. So the centering looked really good. I was happy to send it in based on the centering, but again, this one had some very minor scuffs. You could see, I don't think there's really any way. I was trying to see if I could pick it out, but now that it's in the slab, it's pretty much impossible to see those scuffs. So as far as a display piece, it's still a great card, but yeah, so this one came back at 9.5. I was pretty happy with that. And then I have the Blue Ray Wave of Ryan Clifford, another 9.5. So we're already 6 of 9 cards in. I was really surprised that it was all 9.5s and 10s to this point. This one, I think, also had some very minor scuffs, but otherwise these cards were looking good. Again, you'll see like there's random stuff in there that's added from SGC, unfortunately. I wish the slabs were a little bit cleaner. So the Jackson Holidays were what I was really excited about, really hopeful for. Again, these are lower end cards, so it's not that big a deal, but just Jackson Holliday, such a beast so far. So one of the spotlights I sent in, first one, 10 right off the bat. So this was the very first card I pulled out of the package. So I was very happy to see that. I felt pretty confident this was gonna be a 10. I couldn't find any issues with it. My only concern was the centering might be off. And I don't know how all the companies do it, but I was hopeful that the cards that didn't have a really obvious border would maybe have some extra leniency. My other spotlight was definitely worse than the first one, so I had expected that it would be a 9 or lower. I wasn't really expecting this to be 9.5s. But yeah, another 9.5, again adding some value to my card. And then finally, the Modern Prospects, and that is also a 10. So in total, I sent in 9 cards. 4 of the 5 came back as 10s. 2 of those were Jackson Holidays, which I'm very happy about. So there's the rundown of my first foray into grading, and I was really, really happy with how it all turned out. Can't wait to do it again. I've got a whole list of other cards I'm ready to send in. Just looking for a few more high dollar cards to send in, because I'm looking to get something that's gonna really make an impact if it comes back at 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. I'm gonna be doing some more stuff like this than I have. So far, my channel's been mostly breaks, but with eBay's new policies, I'm probably gonna be moving away from breaking, since I won't be selling a ton of breaks. To this point, I've very much just been doing it for fun, so I'm gonna probably have to try some different things. But I want to be creating content and getting stuff out there, so again, please like and subscribe. Share with your friends too, and we'll see you in the next one.